Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Pranaya Karuna Ghana Ghanatam Sham Sharadava Nalalida Pranaya Karuna Ghana Ghanatam Praptasya Kalyana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Praptasya Kalyana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Mahaprabhu ki Tana Nitya Gita Vaditramadhyam Manasura Sena Mahaprabhu ki Gita Romanchakam Pasu Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Shri Vigrahara Dhana Nityanana Shringaratanama Niramajanado Juktasya Bhaktamsya Niyunjatapi Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasado Satana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasado Satana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangam Kridvaiva Tripte Bhajata Shadeva Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Shiradikama Dabayarapara Madhura Lila Gunarupa Namna Shiradikama Dabayarapara Madhura Lila Pratikshana Swa Dhanalalupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Ne kunja yuno ratikeli siddhai Jayali veri jokti apekshaneya Ne kunja yuno ratikeli siddhai Jayali veri jokti apekshaneya Tatrati daksha Ativalabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Ativalabhasya Sakchadharitena Shamasta Shastri Uktastatha Bhataiva Sadhavi Shamasta Shastri Uktastatha Bhataiva Kintu Pravarja Priya eva tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasya Prasadam Nagati Kutapi Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasya Prasada Jayam Stuvam Tasya Yashastrin Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Dhyayam Stuvam Tasya Yashastrin Sandhyam Dhyayam Stuvam Tasya Yashastrin Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Nama O Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravane Pracharine Nirvishesha Shonavadi Pachatari Shatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravane Pracharine Nirvishesha Shonavadi Pachatari Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hariyaraye Namah Krishna Jadavaye Namah Jadavaye Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hare Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Shri Radha, Nilamadhava Radha, Nilamadhava Radhe. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra. Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Jai Vishwapara Paramsa Prabhajakacharya Ashtotara Sarashishima Iskon Pratishta Bhiviti Samstapakacharya Vaishnava Saramani Gaura Priyajana Krishna Prema Bhakti Datta Patita Pavana. His Divine Grace Abhay Charvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ji Ki Jai Shri Gaurya Guru Varga Patitu Udhar Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Gunasat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ji Ki Jai Jayananta Koti Vaishnavrind Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai Jai Param Dayal Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai Jai Premanama Sankirtane Kajanak Prema Purushottama Shri Sachinandana Shriman Gauranga Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gaur Hari Mahavrinavatar Ki Jai Golokera Pramadhan Harinam Sankirtan Jag Ki Jai Jugo Dharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai परिहर निदांग ट्रांसलेंट बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेवा की जाए। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जाए। श्री ब्रज भूमि वृंदावन मथुराधाम की जाए। डेलोशिव श्री श्री राधा नीलमाधव की जाए। शिमाय पूर्णवद्वीप एक चक्रधाम की जाए। परम करुणा श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु श्रीमती सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय। भक्ति सर्व विघ्न विनाशन करने श्रृंगारी भगवान की जय। गंगा माई जमुना माई की तुलसी महारानी वृंदी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। बोलो श्री मथुरा रानी की जय। समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। निताय गौरी प्रमानंदे। All glories to somebody bodies. All glories to somebody bodies. All glories to somebody bodies. All glories, all glories, glories to Shri Guru Shri Gaura.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Praladaladaine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilatankanakalaye. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Yeto Yeto Yamitato Narsimha. Bahe Narsimha Hrudaye Narsimha. Bahe Narsimha Hrudaye Narsimha. Narasimha Madhim Sharanam Prapadye. Narasimha Madhim Sharanam Prapadye. Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Kamalavari Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Nrsingadev Jayo Nrsingadev, Nrsingadev Jayo Nrsingadev. Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj. Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. भक्ति विघ्न विनाशक नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, भक्ति शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की।
Shri Vrindayai Tulasidebai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradidevi Sattvatai Namo Namah. Vrindai Tulasidebai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradidevi Sattvatai Namo Namah. Vrindayai Tulasidebai Priyayai Kesava Satya Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Sattvatai Namo Namah. Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki.
Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha
Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namah.
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Ei Abhilashi Radha
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Ei Abhilashi.
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Ei Abhilashi
Radha Krishna Seva Para
જે તો મારા શરણ લોય તારા વંચ પૂર્ણ હોય
જે તુમારા શરણાના તારા વંશ પૂર્ણા
કૃપા કોરી કોરો તારે વૃંદાવનવાસી
તમે કૃપા કરી કરા કરે વૃંદાવનવાસી
મોરાએ અભિલાષ વિલાસ કુંજે દિયો બા નયને હેરી સદા યુગલ રૂપરાસી
અને નયને દિવસરા યુગલ રૂપરાસી
એ નિવેદન ધર સખીરનુગત કરો
નિવેદન ધર સખીરનુગત કરો
સેવાધિકાર દિયે કરો નિજ દાસી
સેવાધિકાર દિયે કરો નિજ દાસી
કૃષ્ણ દાસ કોએ એ નમો રહોય
કૃષ્ણ દાસ કો એ નમો
શ્રી રાધા ગોવિંદા પ્રેમે સદાય નવાસી
શ્રી રાધા ગોવિંદા પ્રેમે સદાય નવાસી
શ્રી રાધા ગોવિંદા પ્રેમે સદા નવાસી
શ્રી રાધા
ગોવિંદા પ્રેમે
સદાય નવાસી
તુલસી કૃષ્ણ પ્રેયસી નમો નમઃ તુલસી કૃષ્ણ
પ્રેયસી નમો નમઃ
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पादे पादे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jayo Tulsi Maharani Jayo Tulsi Maharani Jayo Tulsi Maharani Tulsi Maharani Jayo Tulsi Maharani Jayo Vrinda Devi Jayo Vrinda Devi Jayo Vrinda Devi Jayo Vrinda Devi
Jaya Vrinda
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Tulsi Maharani ki
Shri Vrindai Tulasi Devi Priya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradidevi Satavatai Namo Namah Vrindai Tulasi Devi Priya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradidevi Satavatai Namo Namah Vrindai Tulasi Devi Priya Kesava Satya Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Satavatai Namo Namah Jashmati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you, his wishes fulfilled. Bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also grant me a residence in pleasure groves of Shri Vrindavan Dham. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of Kavidames of Raj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me a humble minister. Is ready for holy and holy service, Krishna praise. May I always simply love Shri Radha and Govinda. Shri Mati Tulasi Maharani Vrindi Devi Ki Jai. There are 10 offenses in matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who dedicate a life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods, the Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal to or independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are Vedas and fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9. To instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith in chanting the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions in this matter. It also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisance unto all the Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees. They can fulfill the desires of everyone. And they also feel a compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Jeevancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu vyaivacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrindi ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikhastakam ki jai. Chaito Darpanamajanam Bhava Mahadavaninivapanam Shri Akariva Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Patipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatmasnam Param Paramijayati Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Namnamakari Baudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamittashmarane Nakala Ita Drushi Tava Kripaya Bhagavan Mamapi Durdhaivam Idrishamiya Janina Nuraga Trinadapi Sunichainam Tarorapi Saishnuna Amanina Amanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadhanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagari Shakamai Mama Janmani Janmanishwari Bhavatar Bhakti Rahaitu Kitvai Ainandatanuja Kinkaram Patitam Abhisame Bhavam Budau Kripaya Tapapara Pankaja Stita Dhuli Sadrisham Vichintaya Nayanam Galora Shrudharaya Vadanam Gadagadrudhaya Gira Pulakarin Chitam Vapukada Tabanamagrahane Bhavisati Jugaitam Nimishena Chakrisa Prabhusaitam Sunyaitam Jagata Sarvam Govinda Virainame Asli Shaba Padaratam Pinashtumam Adarshnar Marmatam Karotuba Jatha Tatava Vidadhatulam Pata Mat Pranathastu Saivana Para Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikhastakam ki jai. Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurati Shinma Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shmati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devim Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Sunavadi Patsaktari Sutari. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart with the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because its praise raises the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds, millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are no even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself a lower than straw in the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause that it was from service, birth, unto birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I'm falling in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at the heel of the feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? And when will my voice choke up? Will the hairs of my body stand on end with the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he should remain so. Even if enters me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Guru Vandana Mangala Charan Ki Jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakchurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Jyotapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vintam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakam Vitam Cha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharine Nivrishesha Sunyavadi Patsatyari Satarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhana Videvi Deitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigana Daine Prabhave Nama Madhurjojala Primadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Posidanta Danta Harine Namaguru Kishoraya Sakchavera Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambhode Parambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sakchiranandanamine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gora Virbhava Mitsvam Nidesha Sajana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhoma Sri Jagannatayate Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaranayo Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnayo Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurateshe Namaha Panchatattamakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avatara Bhakta Kyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanto Namostute Jayadam Suratu Pangor Mama Mandamatir Gati Masavasya Parambo Joradha Madana Mohanam Divya Vindaranya Kalpadmada Shmaranagara Shinasanasto Shmarada Shila Govinda
Prestalubi Sevimano Smarami Shimara Sarambi Vamsivatata Tastata Karsam Veniswane Gopir Gopinatak Sviestino Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanustute Devi Pralamami Hari Priya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Shri Brahma Samhita Ki Jai Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Nadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karana Chentamini Prakara Satma Sukalpa Riksha Laksarva Tesa Surabira Vipalyanta Lakshmi Sevyamanam Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Venam Konantam Aravinda Dalayataksam Barhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandarpa Kotikamaniya Visesa Sobam Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kala Sadvanamayavam Siratnam Gadam Pranaya Keli Galavilasam Shamam Tribangalalita Niyata Prakasam Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Ritimanti Pasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiranjra Kanti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jwala Vigrahasa Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purisham Navyogunam Cha Vedesa Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakta Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Jami Pantastikoti Satavatsar Sampragami Vayora Tapi Manasumuri Pungamana Supyasti Yatpapala Simya Vichinti Taitva Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Jai Kopya Sori Chaitam Jagananda Koti Yes Chaktirasta Jagananda Jaya Dantarasta Paramana Chantarastam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Jami at Bhava Bhavita Diyomana Jastataiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayan Busa Suktari Mevinigama Pratitastumanti Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Jamananda Chinmayara Satpati Bhavita Abhistabirya Even Nijrupataya Kalabi Goloka Even Sata Gilatma Bhutto Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Pramanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksa Devu Hide Siviloka Anti Yam Shamasundarama Chinti Gunaswarupa Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Ramadi Murti Sukalani Meditistan Nana Avatara Makarod Bhuvanesis Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramampamani Govinda Madi Purisham Yasya Prabha Prabhuto Jagadanda Koti Kotis Vasisvas Dari Vibhuti Bina Tad Brahmanis Kalamanantama Sesabhutam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Mayahi Yasya Jagadanda Satani Sute Tai Gunyatad Visaya Veda Vitayamana Satvavulam Viparasatvam Visuddha Satvam Govinda Madi Purisham Ananda Chinmaya Prasatvatya Asu Yaprani Nampati Pulam Smaratam Vipetya Lilayatena Bhuvanani Jaya Jasram Govinda Madi Purisham Goloka Evinimita Devi Mahesu Hadidama Sutesu Tesu Tete Prabhavini Jaya Vitas Jayena Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajame Sististati Pralaya Sada Visaktireka Chayevi Yasya Nani Vibhati Durga Chana Rupam Vyasya Stesa Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Jami Shiram Yata Dadi Vikara Viseshi Yoga Sanjayate Nayatata Pritakasti Tusayasa Nama Vitasayat Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Departsity with the Santarama Vipetya Dipayate with the Hitusamanutaram Yastaja Kevi Vishnu Everybody Govinda Madi Purisham Yakarna Nana Valjale Bajtisma Yoga Nidramananta Jagadanda Saroma Kupa Adhara Sakti Madalamya Parasumutim Govinda Madi Purisham Yashaika Nisvasita Kalamatavalamya Jivanti Lomi Villaja Jagadanda Nata Vishnu Mahansa Yasa Kalavi Sesu Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Basmanya Tasma Sakaleshna Jehistesha Suyam Kia Prakatayata Pitadruta Brahmaya Isa Jagadanda Vidana Karta Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Pada Palava Yugam Vinadaya Kumbad one day Pranama Samayasa Gnadi Raja Vignam Vihanta Malamasya Jagatrayasya Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Agni Mahiga Ganamambu Muradisa Shakalas Tatabam and the city Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vivanti Visanti Ancha Govinda Madi Purisham Yas Chak Suresa Savita Sagalagrahana Raja Samasta Suramurti Teja Yaga Brahmati Sambrita Kalachakro Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Dharmota Papa Nichaya Sutayasta Pamsi Brahmadi Kita Patagava Deas Jiva Yadata Matari Papa Kadapa Bava Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Yastrinda Gopa Matavenda Mahoswa Karma Bandana Rupa Falabhajana Matanoti Karmani Nidahati Kintu Chibakti Bhajam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Yasya Yurkura Kama Saja Pranayadi Biti Vatsaya Mohaguru Goroba Sevi Bhava Sanchinti Tasisatu Sintanam Operator Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purisha Kaputaravo Jumabu Mishchintamani Ganama Itoyam Mamitam Kataganam Natyam Gamanama Pivam Sipriasaki Chiranandam Jodi Kuvaram Apita Daswatyama Picha Sayatra Siradavi Savadi Sarabi Vyasta Sumahan Mesar Dakyavavaj Tina Yatrapi Same Bajay Switadi Panta Mahami Golokamitiam Vedantas Te Santakshiti Viraja Katipa Guru Hastaka prayers Kiche. Spiritual master receiving benediction from the ocean mercy. Just as a cloud pours water on the forest where it's extinguished. So the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted word by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. After my respect based on Lotus, such spiritual masters ocean of auspicious quality. Chanting holy names, dancing next, singing, playing musical instruments. Spiritual master is always gladdened by the sanctity movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion with his mind. Sometimes his ear stands on and he feels grooving in his body, and tears flow from his eyes like waves. However, my respectful basis on the Lotus Street is such spiritual master. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple where Chichi Radha and Krishna. He also engages his disciples such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. After my respectful basis on the Lotus Street is such spiritual master. The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzes the truth, dark, and so. When he sees this, spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied eating Bhagavad Prasad, he is satisfied. After my respectful basis on the Lotus Street is such spiritual master. Spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conscious capacity and Radhika and Madhava and their qualities and natures of the Lord. The spiritual master aspires to host these at every moment. After my respectful basis on the Lotus Street such spiritual master. The spiritual master is very dear because he is expert in assisting gopis who at different times with different tests and rises for the perfection. Radha and Krishna, conjugal love and tests within the gross Vrindavan of my most humble base, not the lotus feet, such spiritual master. The spiritual master is beyond it as much as Supreme Lord because he's the most competent servitor of the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, I offer my respectful base not the lotus feet, such spiritual masters, bona fide representatives, Sri Hare Krishna. By the mercy of spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual at least 3 times a day. So of my respectful base on the lotus feet of my spiritual master, his divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Grantharaja ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 7, verse number 19. Yat Sevaya Bhagavata Kutastasya Madhudvisa Ratiraso Bhavet Tivra Padayor Yasanardana. Yat, to whom, Sevaya, by service, Bhagavata, of the personality of Godhead, Kutastasya, of the unchangeable, Madhudvisa, the enemy of the Madhu, Asura, Ratirasa, attachment in different relationships, Bhavet, develops, Tivra, highly ecstatic, Padayo, of the feet, Vyasana, distresses, Ardana, vanquishing. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon, and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The association of a bona fide spiritual master like the sage Maitreya can be of absolute help in achieving transcendental attachment for the direct service of the Lord. The Lord is the enemy of the Madhu demon. Or in other words, he is the enemy of the sufferings of his pure devotee. The word rati rasa is significant in this verse. Service to the Lord is rendered in different transcendental mellows, relationships, neutral, active, friendly, parental, and nuptial. A living entity in the liberated position of transcendental service to the Lord becomes attracted to one of the above-mentioned mellows, and when one is engaged in transcendental living service to the Lord, one's service attachment in the material world is automatically vanquished. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 259, Rasovarjam Rasopiyasya Param Dristva Nivartate. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon, and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses. I printed something out. You might bring it. Yeah. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. In the Padma Purana it says, Smarta Vyasatatam Vishnu, Vishmarta Vinajatachit. Which says that one should always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. This is the 2 points to which all other principles of Krishna consciousness are subordinate to. That is, if you always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna, you are Krishna conscious, and you will definitely be able to go back to Godhead. And furthermore, as we say, Sasmat sarve sakalesu mam anusmari yudicha mayarpita manobuddhi mam ivaisasi asamsaya. It's 7.7. 8.7, yeah. Which says that therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time perform your prescribed duty of fighting with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. You are sure to come, or you will attain me without doubt. So here it's saying basically the same thing, that we should always keep our mind on Krishna and never forget Krishna. And then it says, Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanya paramam purusham divyam yati partana chintayam. That is, he who meditates on me, Krishna says, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he is sure to reach me. So, therefore it says, in this verse, Lord Krishna stresses the importance of remembering him. One's memory of Krishna is revived by chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna. By this practice of chanting and hearing the sound vibration of the Supreme Lord, one's ear, tongue, and mind are engaged. This mystic meditation is very easy to practice, and it helps one attain the Supreme Lord. Purusham means enjoyer. Although living entities belong to the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord, they are in material contamination. They think themselves enjoyers, but they are not the Supreme Enjoyer. Here it is clearly stated that the Supreme Enjoyer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different manifestations and plenary expansions as Narayana, Vasudeva, etc. Well, this is a point that we should take very careful notice of. It's basically saying Krishna is the origin of everything. Everything is coming from him. Janmarasya yata nivyad itaratas charteso vigyaswarat tene brahma hridaya dikavaye muyanti yat surayha tejavari madam yatavani mayo yatra trisargo nisha damna svena sadadhirasta kuhakam satyam param dimahi. So that's the first canto, first chapter, first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it says that Krishna is the origin of everything. Now, that means that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to him, no one is greater than him. Now, he also has what's called plenary and partial plenary expansions. So, Krishna is one, but there are an innumerable number of Narayanas in the spiritual world, and there are an innumerable number of Vishnu incarnations in the material world. But there's one Krishna, and his first expansion is Balaram, and from Balaram all the other Narayanas and Vishnus come. So, also in in a lecture on London, August 30th, 1973, Bhagavad Gita 228, Prabhupada says, the Vishnu form is secondary manifestation of Sankarsana. So Krishna is never affected by Maya. This is the point. So that means that Krishna, he is never in touch with the material nature. But the Vishnu incarnations are specifically meant for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. Therefore it says that Krishna never touches the material nature. Even when he enters into it, he's still under the protection of his internal potency. So he's never actually in touch with the material nature. But at least the Kshirodaksha Vishnu is in the heart of every living entity and in every atom. So there is some relationship with the material nature, but still the Vishnu incarnations are transcendental. When you get into the demigods, Lord Brahma, who's in charge of the mode of passion, he gets sometimes influenced by the mode of passion. And Lord Shiva, who's in charge of the mode of ignorance, he gets sometimes influenced by the mode of ignorance. Very little, but enough that there is something there. Whereas Krishna never even touches the material nature, the Vishnu incarnations always remain transcendental to the material nature. And so unless we understand these things, we could easily get confused, like the Hindus are. They think, oh, all the gods are equal, right? So Prabhupada clearly says the Vishnu form is a secondary manifestation of Sankar-san. Who is Sankar-san? There are two Sankar-sans in the first Chaturvyuha and the second Chaturvyuha, and they're both coming from Balaram, who is coming from Krishna. So there's no doubt that Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. Now, this is also explained, first canto, third chapter, 28th verse. Idecham sakalak pumsa krishnastus bhagavan swayam indriyari vyukalam lokam mridyanti yuge yuge. All the lists of the incarnations of Godhead submitted herewith are either plenary expansions or parts of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead himself. So the two verses that give like unequivocal statement that Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead and everything else is coming from him are this one, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28, and then in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhava matak sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha, 10th chapter, 8th verse. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. So there it is, everything. That means everything, all the incarnations, everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their heart. And in the purport to that verse, 10.8 in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada gives a lot more information and quotes from the Vedas, proving that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He quotes especially the Gopalatapani Upanishad, 1.24, Yo Brahmananam Vedadati Purvan Yovai Vedams Cha Gapayati Sma Krishna. It was Krishna who in the beginning instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past. Then again, in the Narayana Upanishad, Ata Purusha Havai Narayano Kamayata Praja Srijayati. Then the Supreme Personality Godhead, Narayana, desired to create living entities. The Upanishads continue, Narayana, Brahma Jayate, and so forth. From Narayana, Brahma is born. From Narayana, the patriarchs are also born. From Narayana, Indra is born. From Narayana, the 8 Vasus are born. From Narayana, the 11 Rudras are born. From Narayana, the 12 Adityas are born. This Narayana is an expansion of Krishna. So there it is. And then there's even more, you can look it up, there's even more like quotes in that purport. And ultimately, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiraja Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Lord Brahma says, Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the Supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. And then in other places, Bhisma Pitamaha, in the first canto, 9th chapter, 18th verse, he says, Esavai Bhagavan Shakshad Adyo Narayana Pumam Mohayan Mayaya Lokam Gudas Charati Vrishnisu. He says, this Sri Krishna is no other than the inconceivable, original personality of Godhead. He is the first Narayana, the supreme enjoyer. Well, there are many Narayanas, right? But he's the first Narayana. But he is moving amongst the descendants of King Vrishni, just like one of us, and he is bewildering us with his self-created energy. So that's Bhisma Pitamha, one of the 12 Mahajans. Then also, there is Arjuna. He says, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam, Bhavam, Purusham, Sastvatam, Divyam, Adi, Devam, Ajam, Vibhu. Ahustva, Rishya, Sarver, Devasir, Naradastata. Asito, Devalovya, Sa, Swayam, Chaiva, Bhavisime. So he says, Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me." So where did Vyasa Dev declare that? Well, I quoted the first Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1, where it says, Janvanasya nivyad itaratas charte sovik swarat. So he's saying that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of everything. So there are many other statements that establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For example, again in the 10th chapter, Arjuna says, Swayam evatmananam vita tvam purushottama bhuta bhavana bhutesa deva deva jagatpati. Indeed, you, O Krishna, alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe. So, this is a clear statement again. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to him or greater than him. And, all right, so there are actually many places in the Bhagavad Gita and other places where it's clearly said that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, today, it says that by serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses. So, that's the point. Krishna himself highly recommends in the 4th chapter, 24th verse, that we should accept bona fide spiritual master. Why is that? Well, because the 34th verse. If the spiritual master is bona fide, he will only speak the bona fide words about Krishna. And those words were spoken by Krishna himself originally and repeated by the bona fide acharyas in the disciplic succession. And it says, Tad vidi paripatena paripasena sevaya upadeksyami te jnanam jnaninas tatpadarshanaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because the self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So Krishna himself is highly recommending accepting bona fide spiritual master. And it says here, unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. Okay, so we see that acceptance of bona fide spiritual master and spiritual masters, Sikhs and Diksha Gurus, absolutely important. The most important Siksha Guru for us should be Srila Prabhupada himself, who has given us all this wonderful spiritual scriptures Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, so many different scriptures, bona fide scriptures with all his purports to erase any doubts in our mind about who Krishna is, how to serve Krishna, and how to please the Lord, etc. So, in a lecture given on August 30th, 1973, by Srila Prabhupada on the verse of Yakta Dini Bhutani, Vyakta Madhyani Bharata, Avyakta Nidyananyi Va Tatraka Paridevana. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when they are annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? So this is an interesting verse because Krishna uses bona fide Vedic knowledge as well as mundane knowledge to convince Arjuna that he should fight. And he has to convince him of several things. The first and foremost thing that he has to convince him of is that the soul is eternal. It's not a temporary thing. It's not subject to birth, death, old age, and disease like the body. So if we accept that we have an eternal soul, and that's our real identity, then it's not difficult to accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if we're convinced that there's no such thing as a spiritual soul and that everything is material, it's almost impossible to accept that God exists. So that's what's being taught in schools, that there is no soul, there is no spiritual world, and we're only this body, and we only have one life, because after death there's nothing. So how can you expect that your child will be Krishna conscious by going to a place that's teaching what you would call straight up and down materialism, nothing spiritual, absolutely zero, nada, nothing spiritual. And they're trying to deny everything spiritual, emphatically. Not just in a nice way, but emphatically, they're trying to deny it. So we have to be very, very careful who we permit to educate our kids. If we permit the demons to educate them, don't be surprised if your kid grows up to be a materialist. So, to convince Arjuna, Krishna uses, like I say, bona fide knowledge as well as materialistic knowledge. Now, what does he do? How does he do that? So he says, all created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when they are annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? This is a strong argument, or strong point by Krishna. So he says, basically, that everybody is going to experience being unmanifest, then manifest, then unmanifest again, until they become Krishna conscious and go back to Godhead. So that's predicated on the fact that they're not the body. The body is always changing. Sometimes it manifests, sometimes it's not manifest. But the soul remains always. So now how does Krishna do this? So he says, Prabhupada says, so the soul is eternal, so there is no cause for lamentation, because the soul will remain. Even the body is destroyed. There is no cause for lamentation. And those who do not believe that there is, who believe that there is no soul, and the non-believers, everything was void in the beginning. So in the beginning there is void, and in the middle there is manifestation. Then again there's void. So void to void. Where is there a reason for lamentation? So he's using material knowledge to convince Arjuna. He said, look, everything starts out in a void, a according to you guys, according to the materialists. Then in the middle, there's some manifestation. Then it goes back to being void. So even if you don't believe there's an eternal soul, there's no reason to lament because it's void to void. Why would you cry about something that its nature is void? You know? On the other hand, if you believe that there is this eternal soul, then the soul can never die. So there's no reason to cry anyway, for lamentation again. So both ways, whether you don't believe or you do believe, there's no reason to lament. Because that was Arjuna's problem. He was lamenting, and because of material attachment, so he refused to fight. So Krishna's trying to convince him to fight, and he's using spiritual knowledge as well as giving an example of material knowledge. Why? There's no reason to be lamenting. Because when a person laments, they cannot figure out what to do, what is their duty, so they don't perform their duty. And that's the problem Arjuna's having. He's having a crisis, a panic attack in the middle of the battle of Kurukshetra before it's started. It's going to start very soon. And because he sees people that he respects and who are related to him on both sides of the military, so he can't see how he'll be happy whether one side wins or the other side wins. It's going to be for him. It's two-time losing, two-time loser. So therefore, he refuses to fight. But see now, Krishna, in a very clever way, convinces him. Whether you believe in the soul or you don't believe in the soul, there's no reason to lament. Because if you believe in the soul, it cannot die. If you don't believe in the soul, well, it started from void. It's only manifest for a short time, and it'll go back to being void. So who cares if there's a bunch of chemicals are wasted, right? You should not be attached. So, therefore, then Prabhupada gives another example. He says, take, for example, a big skyscraper, manifest from the earth. So it's made of earth, water, fire, air, and so forth. When it is dismantled, the manifestation becomes again unmanifested and remains as atoms in the ultimate stage. Now, there's the law of conservation of energy and matter. So it's not really destroyed. It's just dissipated. It's just spread out into atoms. And so there's no reason to lament, right? Because it's not really destroyed. And then it says, only the form of the building is destroyed, but all the materials of the building, they're still existing. And he says, but in course of time, things are manifested and unmanifested. Then what causes there for lamentation, either in a stage of manifestation or unmanifestation? Somehow or other, even in the unmanifested stage, things are not lost. The atoms are still there, right? The elements are still there. So, both in the beginning and at the end, all elements remain unmanifested, and only in the middle are they manifested. And this does not make any real material difference. And if we accept the Vedic conclusion as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, antavanta ime deha, that these material bodies are perishable in due course of time, nityas yokta sarirana, but the soul is eternal, then we must remember always that the body is like a dress. It's not the real person. It's just like some clothing that you've put on. Therefore, why lament the changing of a dress? You don't cry when you have your pet coat or a sweater, and all of a sudden it gets torn and old. You don't cry when you throw it away. Just get another one, right? So, therefore, why lament the changing of a dress? The material body has no factual existence in relation to the eternal soul. It is something like a dream. In a dream, we may think of flying in the sky or sitting on a chariot as a king. But when we wake up, we can see that we are neither in the sky nor seated on the chariot. The Vedic wisdom encourages self-realization and the basis of non-existence of the material body. So in other words, we realize that we are not this body. That's basically that's the Vedic wisdom. That's what it's trying to teach us. At no time are we actually this body. We may be existing in the body, but the body is different than us. Okay? Therefore, in either case, whether one believes in the existence of the soul or one does not believe in the existence of the soul, there's no cause for lamentation or loss of the body. So then Prabhupada says, one point in this connection is that at night when I am dreaming, I forget this body. This body in dream. I am seeing that I have gone in a different place, talking with different men, and my position is different. But at that time, I don't remember that actually my body is lying on the bed in the apartment where I have come. But we don't remember this body. It is everyone's experience. Similarly, when you come again, awakening stage, in the morning after getting up from the bed, I forget all the bodies I created in my dream. So which one is correct? This is correct, that body is correct, or that body is correct. I said the body you had in your dream, or the body you have now that you're not dreaming anymore, but it's actually daydream and night dream. There's two dreams, actually. And in each dream you have a body, and you're talking to different people and doing different things, right? So which one is true? Okay. So which one is correct? Because at night I forget this body, and in daytime I forget the other dreaming body at night. So both of them are not correct. It is simply a hallucination. But I am correct because I see at night and I see during the day. So I am eternal. The body is not eternal. This is the fact. Whoa. You see how Prabhupada constructed this thing, right? You can't believe the body you have at night in your dream. You can't believe the body you have now because at night you're going to forget about it, right? And during the day you're going to forget about the body you had at night, right? So both of them are a hallucination. What does that mean? Both of them were never true. Let's put it like that. There was never a time where I am either the body I have in a dream or the body I have during the daytime, because the real me is the soul, not the body. So both are hallucinations, or both are false, and were never true at any time. See? An illusion is something that was never true at any time, but we believe it is. So, but then Prabhupada's conclusion, but I am correct because I see at night and I see in the daytime. So I am eternal. The body is not eternal. That is the fact. Yeah, what you see at night is a temporary thing. What you see during the day is a temporary thing. But you're not temporary because you're the seer. And that means, if you look at it carefully, those things that you see are temporary, but you are eternal because you're existing even after they disappear. Yeah. So, antavanta ime deha nityas yukta sarirana. The owner of the body is eternal, but not the body. In so many ways, Krishna is explaining about the material condition of this body. But those who are not very intelligent, with poor funded knowledge, it is very difficult for them to understand. Otherwise, things are very clear. This point is very clear, that at night I forget the body, and in daytime I forget the body at night. This is a fact. Similarly, I may forget the body of my last appearance, last duration of life, like in previous lifetime. Or I may not know the future body, but I will exist, and the body may change, but I'll have to accept another body, which is temporary. But as I exist, it means I have got a body that is spiritual body. Okay, so you see, that's why you need a bona fide spiritual master, and the most bona fide spiritual master is Srila Prabhupada. He's explaining things in simple English that are extremely profound and very difficult for materialistic people to understand, almost impossible. But if we become purified by devotional service, and especially by this regular hearing and chanting, and hearing what? Hearing the words of our most important Acharya, that's Srila Prabhupada, then it's possible that we can understand. It's possible. And then Prabhupada says, so the spiritual body is existing, and the spiritual advancement means, first of all, to know spiritual identification of myself. Just like Sanatana Goswami went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after retiring from his ministership. So he first of all said that, Ke ami, kene amaya, jareta patraya. Actually, I do not know what I am. Here's a man who was a chief minister of the state of Bengal 500 years ago. And he was very, very wealthy, very highly educated. He can speak Urdu, he can speak Arabic, he can speak Farsi, he knows Sanskrit, he speaks Bengali, he probably spoke Hindi also, right? And very educated person, very, very intelligent, very powerful, very rich. And he comes to Lord Chaitanya and said, hey, ke ami, kene amaya jarita patraya. I don't know who I am and why I am subjected to the miserable condition of life. I don't know who I am, and I don't understand why I'm suffering. Well, anybody has half a wit meaning knowledge, they would say the same thing. You know, I'm 30 years old, but I don't really know who I am, and I don't understand why I'm suffering. Like just 2 days ago, a person who is somewhat of a disc jockey and somewhat of a personality on television. He's a black guy. He shot himself in the head purposely, killed himself, right? And he's only like 40 years old. He has a beautiful wife, kids, plenty of money. Why would a person, it's only 40 years old, and he was in a motel, and in the motel, probably a Motel Patel, shot himself in the head. Why would he do that, right? When you think, well, he's in the prime of his life, he's got plenty of money, he had a white wife, you know, he's got kids, he's got a great job on television, and he kills himself. Well, Ke ami, kene amaya jarita patraya. Actually, I do not know what I am and why I'm subjected to the miserable condition of life. Say, 40 years old, and he doesn't really know who he is, and he doesn't really know why he's suffering, but he's suffering enough that he put a gun to his head. It's not easy to do a thing like that, right? Put the gun to, he was like determined to kill himself, and pulled the trigger and blew his head off. Okay, so this is not a strange thing. This is the dilemma every person has, even today. I don't know who I am, and I don't know why I'm suffering. Therefore, the miserable condition of life is this body, because in a dream also, when I get another body, sometimes we find that on top of a very tall bamboo or tall mountain, I am just now falling down. And I die, right? But then I wake up and I realize it was a dream. But I'm scared because I actually felt myself going down and the trauma of it and dying. But now I see it was just a dream. Well, that's why Prabhupada says daydream, night dream. Both are dreams. There's some people say, no, what I'm doing during the day, that's real, right? But when you go to sleep at night, there's another reality, and you forget what you said was real. So therefore, the miserable condition of life is this body. When I get another body, sometimes we find, well, in a dream, I can get another body on top of a mountain, and then I fall down, and I'm afraid. I sometimes cry. Now I am falling down. So this body, this material body, which body I belong to? Which one am I really? Actually, I do not belong to any of these bodies. I have got a separate spiritual body. So this human life is meant for that realization, that I am not this material body. I have a spiritual body. Then next question will be, then what is my purpose in life? What is my function in life? In the present body, under some material condition, I am thinking, this is my body, and the body is produced under certain condition of this country, or this family that I was born into. Therefore, this is my family, this is my country, this is my nation, everything bodily concept of life. And if I am not this body, then in relationship with this body, either my family or my country or my society or my other relationships, they are also false because the body is false. Therefore, Sankaracharya theorized Brahma Satyam Jagat Mitya, meaning the Brahman, or the soul, it means the soul is actually the fact, not the material manifestation. But he said the material manifestation is actually false. We don't say it's false. We say it's temporary. I mean, the Vaishnavas. He said it was false. It doesn't exist. It's an illusion. Now, are we saying it's an illusion? No. But we do say, trying to find a position in the material world where I will be continually happy, that's an illusion. But yet everyone's trying to find that place. It's called El Dorado. Look that word up. El Dorado. It's not a name of a car, although there were cars in America having that name. El Dorado. E-L-D-O-R-A-D-O. El Dorado. What does it say? This is like a race to see who has the first.
It's a mountain.
No.
Place of fabulous wealth.
What? Go ahead. What did it say?
It's a place of
Get the
fabulous
microphone.
wealth.
Get the microphone.
I don't know. It says that a place of fabulous wealth.
Yeah, it's like a heaven, a heavenly place. Yeah, where. So, the idea is that I'm trying to find this El Dorado, this place where we have plenty of money and everything, a lot of sense gratification. Huh? Did you see anything else?
Yeah.
Huh?
So it
what?
says
Yeah, it's an ideal place for existence. People were looking for El Dorado for years, in the Middle Ages. And, no, wait. Huh? What's it say?
So it said El Dorado is applied. El Dorado is applied to a legendary story in which precious stones were found in fabulous abundance along with gold coins. The concept of El Dorado underwent several transformations and eventually accounts of the precious myth.
Precious what?
Myth,
Myth.
yeah, were also combined with those of the legendary lost city. So now they refer to the El Dorado as the lost city, where there is a lot of precious, gold.
And everyone's looking for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to go to El Dorado. Sounds like a Spanish name. Any more information about El Dorado? Okay, let him say what he had found. Okay. Hold the microphone closer to your mouth.
A city or country of fabulous riches held by 16th century explorers to the existence in South America.
Right. There is a place like that. There was, in the Mayan culture, they had a very, very wealthy city. But of course, the Spanish came and destroyed it, took all the gold. There was an El Dorado. It was the Mayan culture. Look up Mayan culture, M-A-Y-A-N. There were two cultures in South America. There was one with the Mayans and the other was the Incas. I think the Mayans were in Mexico and the Incas were farther south, like in the Spanish and others came and ruined both cultures and stole all their gold and everything and spread the diseases that almost decimated the people. What's it say?
Mayan culture is one of the most studied civilizations in Mesoamerica.
Mesoamerica means middle America, means like
Middle America. Their
like between Mexico and
advances
South America. What?
are their advances in architecture, yeah, and astronomy, medicine, and math are well renowned. The ancient Mayans legacy had inspired many historical investigations to comprehend their way of living and why they left the majestic cities.
Okay. So, yeah, the Mayans they were mainly in southern Mexico. And then the Incas were farther down in South America. Both cultures were destroyed. The people that came from Europe. And they stole their money. And they stole their gold. They were very wealthy. Right? Okay, so therefore, Sankaracharya sort of gave a summary of the dilemma of material attachment. He says, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mitya. Only the Brahman is true, the soul is true. The Jagat, the matter, is not true. But he went a little too far there. We don't say that matter doesn't exist because it comes from Krishna, so it is existent. But it sometimes is manifest, sometimes is not manifest. So then Prabhupada says, my body is temporary. Now I am working for the body. That is illusion. Aham mameti. This is a phrase from the 5th canto, 5th chapter, 8th verse. Pumsa striyo maituni bhavan etan tayor mito hirdaya grantim ahu. Aho griha chetra sudapta vitayar janasya mohayam aham mameti. One time I was on a morning walk with Prabhupada and he quoted this verse. Right. So what does this verse say? It says, the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, what is the misconception here? Well, there are women and there are men. So what is the misconception? Misconception is attachment to the body and not attachment to the soul. So the woman gets attached to the handsome body of the man and the man gets attached to the beautiful body of the woman. That is what he's talking about. So he says, but this attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine. Well, this is a big verse. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this? This is my life. You know, if you take this away from me, I may as well commit suicide. No. Anyway, and sense gratification serves as a natural attraction between man and woman. And when they are married, their relationship becomes more involved due to the entangling relationship between man and woman. there is a sense of illusion whereby one thinks, this man is my husband, or this woman is my wife. This is called Hirdaya Granthi, the heart knot of the heart. This knot is very difficult to undo, even though a man and woman separate either for the principles of Varnashrama or simply to get a divorce. So they might separate because of Varnashrama, which means there are four Varnas. There's Brahmachari, and there's Grihastha, and there's Vanaprastha, and there's Sannyas. So both can go through these. Well, if you go through these four stages, there's going to be separation in the end, right? So either it's because of Varnashram or it's because of divorce. You say, and so it says, in any case, the man always thinks of the woman, and the woman always thinks of the man. Thus, a person becomes materially attached to family, property, and children, although all of these are temporary. The possessor unfortunately identifies with his property and wealth. Sometimes, even after renunciation, one becomes attached to a temple or to the few things that constitute the property of a sannyasi. But such attachment is not as strong as family attachment. In other words, even one becomes a sannyasi, they can become very attached to a few things in the same way that one is attached to a wife or a husband or a car or a property, etc. I mean, it's not as strong maybe as being attached to a husband or a wife, but it's still attachment, a material attachment, even though they're in a renounced order of life. The attachment to family is the strongest illusion. In the Satya Samhita it is stated, Brahmadya yajna valkadya muchyante stri sahayina bodhyanta kachan aite sam ve se sam cha vido vidu. What does that say? Sometimes it is found among exalted personalities like Lord Brahma that the wife and children are not a cause of bondage. On the contrary, the wife actually helps further spiritual life and liberation. Nonetheless, most people are bound by the knots of the marital relationship, and consequently they forget their relationship with Krishna. So it's saying, wait a minute, this is not the rule for everyone. Sometimes the wife is a very powerful spiritualist and inspires the husband to be also that way. But in general, it's not so. There are exceptions. Most people are bound by the knots of the marital relationship, and consequently they forget their relationship with Krishna. Okay, so I'll stop right there. You see how this verse today is saying, by serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon, and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses. So everybody is suffering one way or the other. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're married or not married. If you are married, then there's a possibility of extreme materialism and attachment. But if the husband and wife both become Krishna conscious and both accept bona fide guru and gurus and abide by the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, they can both be liberated easily in this lifetime and live happily in the sense that they're not affected by material events and things. And they fix their mind on Krishna, they both go back to, and the children also can all go back to Godhead. So it's not a dark, black destiny. Krishna consciousness leads to ecstatic love for the Lord. And what is very very difficult to do materially is easy to do spiritually if we follow things correctly. That's the secret, to follow things correctly, not keep making the same mistake over and over again, birth after birth. So we'll discuss this more tomorrow. This is an amazing lecture by Prabhupada. and it comes into focus even to this verse. Are there any questions?
What is the reference for this lecture?
Is Bhagavad Gita 2.28, 2.28, London, August 30th, 1973. London, August 30th, 1973. Prabhupada, amazing lecturer. Okay, so we'll have,
It's amazing all these so-called successful people, they are in this illusion of something that they're seeking, and even though when they have achieved what many will call material success, they don't know who they are. So they're from
Making
maybe
mistakes.
99.9% of the world may aspire to be them,
yeah, and they don't know who
and
they
they
are.
don't know who they are, and then they die and they take their life without knowing where they should.
Yeah,
So that's the wonderful creation of the Lord. It's like amazing illusion that everybody goes through.
well, Krishna doesn't want people to be in illusion like that.
Yeah.
That's their own doing. It's not the Lord. But the Lord gives them the chance to get out of the illusion, you know. And if they want to stay in it, then he says, okay, well, that's what you want. You know, what can I do? You know, it's unfortunate. And you want me to help you stay in illusion? Okay, I can help you. There's Durga Mata. She's expert at it. But you're going to get smashed. Look at Elon Musk. You know, his whole Twitter thing might collapse.
Yeah.
So, and it's affecting his Tesla and everything else.
He's no longer the richest person as of yesterday.
Yeah. And then you have Zuckerberg,
Yeah.
right? People are starting to say, you know, he's so crazy for this metaverse. You know, it could bankrupt the whole company, right? And then you have the other one, the Bitcoin guy.
He's already in jail.
He's in jail now. He went from being one of the richest men in the world. He's in jail, and they're looking at like 100 years in jail.
So that's another thing, Maharaj. I think you answered this in once. You know, people look at this short-term success, but when you zoom out and see, that's what even when Ravana was there, you know,
he was successful.
Hugely successful.
Yeah.
You know, the Lankan city was one of the best material opulences. But when you zoom out and then see, you know, how his lack of reality, and then that desire to dominate has destroyed everything that he worked hard for.
And the fact that he couldn't accept good advice.
Hmm.
He couldn't accept good advice. He knew better than everyone. We're seeing it right now with Putin.
Yeah.
He's another.
Everybody goes through that, because I think once the material success catches on, the false ego takes full control, and then like now you don't want to hear anybody's advice.
Yeah, they make mistakes.
Make mistakes.
Like Hitler also, he was very successful, but he kept making mistakes, right? Because in the state of illusion. The Shah of Iran, he was extremely powerful. He had a tremendous army and everything, completely wiped out, right? In a matter of a short period of time. And so we need to learn from all these examples, right? But how many more examples do we need, right? We're seeing it every day. Right? Yeah. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Just curious that out of all the demons, why specifically Madhu demon? Is there a specific reason why it got quoted, or just?
Well, you know, every time frame there's a famous demon. So Madhu was a famous demon at one time, right? So
I was wondering if there was any qualities.
Any special demon qualities of Madhu?
At least the purport was referring to.
Well, I can try and look it up. I'll see if I can find more information about Madhu.
Hare Krishna.
There's Madhu and someone else. There's another demon associated with Madhu. I forget the name of him. Yeah. Okay, we'll try and find. You know about Madhu? Yeah, Madhu and Kaitava. Yeah. Well, we'll try and find out. We want to find out about all the demons. Haribo.
Material success and spiritual success never go hand in hand. Out of example.
No, there's no such thing as material success. You don't really succeed materially. You get destroyed materially, right?
It is temporary. They
Yeah.
get successful, but temporary.
Yeah.
If you think of Parikshit Maharaj, that's what I think of Parikshit Maharaj, who has the entire earth and opulence. They can still go together, but depends on how it is used, right, Maharaj?
Yeah. If you use it for Krishna, then you protect it. But, basically, even though Parikshit Maharaj used everything in Krishna's service, Krishna arranged for him to do something that caused him to be completely disassociated from all that success and go back to Godhead. So we have to see everything as the mercy of Krishna, not just, oh, I'm very successful by Krishna's mercy. No, but look what happened to Parikshit Maharaj. He had to leave the whole thing. Right? Yudhishthira also had to leave everything. Yeah, so we shouldn't be afraid of leaving. Yeah. If you leave to go back to Godhead, it's a good thing, right? If you leave to go to Narak, it's not so good. Yeah. Haribol.
Shri Guru Charane, Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Banda muy sabadana Made. Jara prasade bai e bhavatoriya jai.
Chanara prasade bai e bhavatoriya jai.
Krishna prapti ho jai ho te.
Krishna prapti hoya de.
Guru mukha padma vakya chetete koriya kya.
Guru mukha padma vakya chitte koriya kya.
Arana koriya mane asha.
Arana koriya mane asha.
चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से.
चक्षुदान दिल जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से.
द्रविदांगे में प्रकाशित ओ.
दिव्य ज्ञान में प्रकाशित
प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते
प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते
देने गाय जहर चरित हो
वेदे गाय जनर चरित
श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आज जनर बंधु
श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधन जनर बंधु
लोकेना लोकेरा जीवन हा हा प्रभु कोर दया देहा मोरे पद छाया
प्रभु मोरे पराशय
ए बिगाश गुश त्रिभुवन श्रील प्रभुपाद पिता पवन प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद
प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद
गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव
जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव
नो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रसाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदान्ता स्वामी नित्यानामिने
ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णवेष्टाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदान्त स्वामी नित्यानामिने
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष गुरुवादी पाशुत्या विशत्यारिणे
नमो विष्णुपदाय स्वास्थाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदान्त स्वामी नित्यानामिने
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गरजर शिवचरित गौर भक्त वृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासुदे गौरतवेन्द
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Pararajagachasta Tarasatara Shishimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Param Sikha Hosha Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Sirvait Gadadhar Shivasani Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapura Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Ganga Maya Ki Jai, Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Samvira Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premananda. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavane Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vasta Srimad Bhaktan Swaptana Namaste Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain the pure devotional service. I bow down to this lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross over and attain the mercy of Krishna. My only desire is to have to his lotus feet is the perfection and fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth.